What's good, everyone? Today I want to talk to you guys about the Evolve GTX and give you my first impressions. I recently got this board a couple weeks ago and I have to say that it's an amazing board. Well, let's start off with the appearance. The GTX looks really nice and polished overall. The hex grip tape looks good. There's no weird spacings in between like there are on other boards with the same style. The wheels are really nice and quality. And the motors sticking out also look good in my opinion. There are also some gold accents which also look pretty good. Moving on to the deck itself, the GTX has a very large flexi deck that feels super comfortable. I thought my Boosted Plus was comfortable until I got on this thing. I feel much lower to the ground and can immediately feel the nimbleness of the board. This is probably because of the double kingpin trucks. These trucks specifically allow you to carve really well and take sharp turns, which I think is a huge upgrade from the Boosted Plus as well. Alright, the remote. This is what a lot of people have issues with when it comes to the Evolve board, and I think that's basically because the board is built really well, but the remote feels plasticky and a bit cheap in comparison. If you look at the Boosted board, for example, you can see that it has a nice weight to it. The spinning wheel, it's spring loaded and it feels really nice when you press it, and it feels like you have a lot of control. With the GTX, you have these two separate buttons which kind of is not as intuitive, and it's hard to map your brain to thinking in that sort of way. Moving on to the performance of this board. Now let me tell you, this board has a lot of torque. If you're on slow or eco mode, you won't feel it as much, but you start to get a hint of it when you're on fast mode, and especially on GTR. The thing with this board is that if you click the trigger a little too hard, you will get thrown off. I remember when I first got it, I was on GT mode and I clicked it a little too hard on accident and I was completely thrown off of it. So if you're riding this board, I think it's important to understand that you have to be very mindful of how you're pushing the trigger. Aside from the torque of this board, the acceleration is pretty smooth overall. I think if you're on slow and eco mode, of course it's going to be super slow and you're probably not going to be on those two settings. But when you're on fast and GT mode, you can really feel the pull of it, and I think that's what a good board should make you feel. The only issue with the high speed on this board is that you're prone to getting speed wobbles, and that's most likely because of the double kingpin trucks. I tried to mitigate speed wobbles by tightening the trucks, but alternatively you can put extra bushings which are harder than the current ones. To test the speed capabilities of this board, I tested it against my Boosted Plus, but I think it's pretty obvious who the winner is. The footage is a bit shaky just because it's really hard to film while racing, but at the end you can see who wins. When this board was released, Evolve advertised a top speed of 26 miles per hour. I haven't hit that top speed yet, even while holding down the trigger all the way. I don't know if Evolve meant that to be for the all-terrain wheels or the street wheels, but if you're gonna get a board from Evolve, just know that the top speed might not match what the website says. When it comes to the range of this board, I don't have too much to say just because the range is actually as good as they say it is. If I were to compare it to my Boosted Plus, I would say that it lasts about 2 to 3 times longer than the Boosted charge, meaning that it takes 2 to 3 charges from the Boosted for 1 charge of the Evolve. Overall, I honestly love this board. I think that it's not specifically a beginner's board. I think it's definitely an intermediate type of board, but once you understand how to ride it, how to carve on it, and just play around with it for a few weeks, you can really understand why everyone likes Evolve so much. At first when I got it, I kind of liked my Boosted Plus more, but the more I rode it, the more I started enjoying it. I really like the nimbleness, how quiet it is, how quick it is, the big wheels, the flexi deck. They all come together to create a superbly smooth ride that feels great every time. But if you're gonna ride this thing, Just make sure you keep your eyes on the road. That's it for this one, guys. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you have any feedback, comments, questions, or just things I missed in the video, leave it down in the comments below. Peace.